Hello? John, why are you always dressed up?
Because the prior weeks we've gone to Plainfield right after a meeting, and today we're going to Mooresville right after this.
Okay.
You think he wears a tie all the time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I thought, wow, that's how he's coping with the quarantine. Sylvia?
Good morning.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Sue. Hi, John and Betty.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, Lynn.
All ready?
Hi, Lynn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Howdy.
Morning.
How's that golf cart working for you, Brent?
That's pretty good. It's been too hot
It's
to get
hot
out
to ride
much.
it? Yeah. To go early morning or late evening.
Snazzier than ours.
Is it?
Yeah, our beat up old one with the dump cart and everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's been nice. I'll get it back to you this week.
No hurry.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Chantel.
Good morning, Lynn. Quaker Palooza, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you go to some of those?
Far too many. And I'm glad it's over, not because it wasn't nice, but it was way too much sitting for me.
Tell did some of the FTC gathering online.
What?
I said you did the FTC gathering online.
Yeah, it was not ideal for a first one. It was hard sitting all the time like this. I wouldn't do that again. But I loved the Bible hour, half hour. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Who did the Bible hour?
It was called Madriger.
Don't know that person.
Oh, it was amazing. He was just incredible. That was the highlight of my day, really. Yeah.
From Pacific yearly meeting.
Ah. Morning, Chip.
Good morning. I have a new speaker ordered.
Oh,
Hey.
Yay.
Great. I think they go to Plainfield right after.
After this.
Yeah.
Well, Dan's our worship leader this morning. At least I assume he is from the newsletter. So,
Yes, good morning. Tis I.
are there prayer concerns or anything that folks would like to share before we center into some silence. And
I would ask for prayers for my next door neighbor, Eli, who's 16 years old, one of the most ambitious and personable 16-year-old I've ever known. He has a couple of tumors on his lower spine. He's in excruciating pain. They can't do surgery till till the 13th of this month, and the surgeon is coming home from vacation early to do that for him. They don't expect them to be malignant, but they could be. He's been suffering in pain for about 6 weeks, thinking it was a pulled muscle or a stress fracture in his spine after some heavy lifting on the hog farm. But he's in deep trouble as far as pain, can't sleep at night at all, and he's just really suffering. So please pray that that be relieved and that the surgery goes well. Eli is his name, Eli Vance.
let's hold Eli in the light during this time together and then throughout the week. And again, I'd invite everyone to put your phone on mute or your computer. I can do it from here too, so I may mute you if there's too much background noise. And then Dan will speak out of the silence when he feels led.
No offensive. It was step over the line of proper etiquette. It was just not to be said. To condemn any person, place, or thing was not my prerogative. It was a true sin to ask for God's complicity in any such damnation. So it was a startling moment when in the seventh grade reading assignment was the phrase, "Damn the man who cut this tree." And it was written on a stump, a flash of hatred for the one that cut the walnut tree the author had remembered for its shade. I have remembered that phrase all this time. I think it became memorable to me because of the strong feelings of the author that led to the use of strong language. I shouldn't say it, but Sterling North could in his memoir, Rascal. Damning and condemnation is serious stuff, not to be said, not to be done lightly. In our country today has risen a lot of strong feelings of damnation. I believe there is merit to condemning some things. Such action brings change that will improve the life of our country. Should excessively oppressive policing tactics be condemned and abandoned? I believe so. Should police departments be condemned and abandoned? I believe not. Some folks want statues removed and names expunged, and some folks don't. Are we ready to be buried in referenda? Past that, my pondering became more clouded with more questions than personal answers. Who chooses? What's chosen? Why? At what cost? How? What is the expected result? Who are the protagonists? Who are the antagonists? I was muddled and befuddled. Last night, while catching up on papers unread, I found a piece that put in order the pieces that I had been tumbling like a stone polisher. It was written by Timothy Dolan, the Archbishop of New York. It's titled, "Even the Bible is Full of Flawed Characters." Years ago, I was dedicating a new parish to St. Peter. A woman wrote to protest. Why would you name a church after such a coward, a sinner who denied even knowing the Lord when Jesus needed him most, at the hour of his arrest and crucifixion? Knowing her and what parish she was from, I wrote back, "But you're a proud parishioner of St. Mary Magdalene Church. She was sure not a paragon of virtue for a chunk of her life. Yet, by God's grace, she became a radiant, instrumental saint. If we can't name churches after sinners, the only titles we'd have left would be Jesus and his mother." Isn't the same true of America's history? Did a lot of good to our nation's progress, defacing, tearing down, and hiding statues and to know their country's past, its normative figures and their virtues and vices. That's how we learn and pass on our story. Is there any more effective way to comprehend America's history of racism than reading Huckleberry Finn or one of Flannery O'Connor's short stories, works of literature now ominously on the chopping block? My own mom kept a photo of her parents hanging on the wall of our house. Her dad, my grandfather, was an abusive drunk who abandoned his family. I'm glad we got to know of him, the good and the bad. The same is true of the church I love and am honored to serve. Yes, there are scandalous parts of our history and countless episodes when popes, bishops, priests, and others, including some who are now saints, didn't act as they should have. God forbid we go through a cultural revolution and present a tidy and inaccurate history. And who's to say which statues, portraits, books, and dedications are spared? Remember when some objected to raising the status of Martin Luther? If literature that depicts prejudice or words or scenes that are today rightly abandoned are today rightly abhorred is to be banned, I don't know if even the Bible can survive. If we only honor perfect, saintly people of the past, I guess I'm left with only the historian by training. I want to remember the good and the bad. How even people who have an undeniable dark side, I want to keep bringing classes of school children to view such monuments and to explain to them how even such giants in our history had crimes, unjust acts, and plain poor judgment mixed in with the good we honor. That was published in the Wall Street Journal on Monday, June the 29th. How Christian is condemnation? From the book of John. They went each to his own house. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple. All the people, the Pharisees, brought a woman who had been caught in adultery and placed of adultery. Now the law of Moses commanded us. What do you say about her? This they said to Jesus bent down and wrote with his on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. And once more he bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the eldest, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus looked at you. She said, no one, Lord. And Jesus said, do not sin again. How will changing the name of Fort Lee make blacks that hate whites less racist, or whites? Hatred is experienced. It is the sin of hatred today I must claw at. It is Jesus' commandment to love one another I must follow. It's the young that must see and know this greatest commandment. Then the children were brought, laid his hands on them and pray. The disciples were, but Jesus said, let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for such belongs the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hands on them and went away.
The church bells are ringing now, and I know the sound. This is the sound of someone who died. This is a funeral. And I just want to say quickly that I am here this morning, and I just want to give grace to God to have another day, and that the bells won't ring for me now. I've got to have another day.
Thinking about what Dan said in condemnation, I know it's easy for me to be condemning of those whose views, no matter what kind of views, whether they're for political views or whether a Mac's the best or a PC's the best, can always get into condemnation. And I was thinking about the word gospel, good news, and wondering if in times such as this, when there's so many people saying what they're against or what's wrong, can we what good news have we got to offer? Can we say something, what we're for, instead of what we're against? Edgar Dunstan, a British Quaker in the 40s, wrote, what good news have we for the world? And when I first read that in the old London Faith and Practice, it really stuck with me, and it sticks with me now. What good news, he asked, do we have for a sin-sick and suffering world? What good news? What positive gospel can we proclaim? I think there's much. It's just the challenge of, at least for me, reframing how I think, and also recentering in the life of the Spirit, centering in that which gives life instead of that which just makes me mad and takes life away.
For those of you who have traveled internationally, you know that when we return to the US, we get in lines at customs. And sometimes, or at least in the past, one of those lines is labeled "Nothing to Declare." And I can't tell you how upset I was when all of the Quakers in my group went through the line that said "Nothing to Declare." We do have something to declare. George Fox said it well when he said, walk cheerfully over the earth and answer that of God in every person. We do have something to declare.
As we come to the end of our time together, is there anyone else who has anything to say before we dismiss? Hmm? That's not a church bell. That's just our clock chiming. We're still alive, Chantel. Well, blessings on us all, and hope you have a wonderful week. And then unprogrammed worship will start in about 15 minutes if anybody wants to join that as well. Virtual handshake, I guess, the Quaker way of dismissal. Bye-bye.